Hey guys, welcome back to the AE Tech Airsoft channel. Today we're going to review one of our new DDC Industry products, which is the Tokyo Marui MP7 gas blowback stock latch. This part on the original model tends to break quite frequently because it's made of a very cheap zinc die cast. So we at DDC Industries are now offering a steel version of that component. That was just released in the last month or so. And in this video, we're going to go over how to install this latch into your Tokyo Marui MP7. Some tools we're going to use for this video, it's pretty simple compared to some of our other ones. We're going to use a number 2 Phillips head screwdriver. We're going to use a 90-degree pick. And we're also going to use our Super Lube synthetic grease. As always, you can find links to these tools in the description for our video. Without further ado, let's get into the installation. So I've gone ahead and already field stripped off the rear chassis portion from my MP7 here. This is pretty easy. Just remove the 2 pins from your receiver and slide this out the back, being careful of the bolt and the recoil spring. But this is just a basic field strip. You should be left with something like this. So the first thing we're going to do is just remove the stock just to get out of our way. To do that, we're going to lift up on this latch here, as well as on the stock latch on the other side. So if we push up both of those simultaneously, we can slide this unit right off the stock. We'll just put that off to the side. Next, we're going to go ahead and remove our backplate. So this is the DDC Industries stainless steel backplate that we have installed here. If you don't have this, you'll have the black stock one. But I'm going to go ahead and remove that with our number 2 Phillips head screwdriver. All we got to do is remove these 2 fasteners. I'm going to start with the lower one just because it's got the spring. This spring isn't under any pressure. It's just an extra part I don't want to drop and lose. So we'll remove that bolt and spring and just set it off to the side here. Next, for the second fastener, I'm just going to keep a little bit of pressure on the back plate because it is under some light spring tension from the detent springs. So I'm just going to squeeze this lightly while I remove the fastener completely. All right, there we go, that fastener is out. So I can just kind of gently let off here, and you can see that kind of spring popped out. So if I gently remove it, your 2 springs and detents should be captured in the rear receiver cap, but you want to be careful as you remove this so that they don't fall. So we'll set our back plate aside here, and we'll go to our next step, which is to actually remove the stock latch. So now that we have the back plate removed, one thing I want to point out before we go further is you do not want to actuate the stock latch while it's disassembled here. If you do, you risk this detent and spring flying out of the receiver assembly, and it could get lost or fly into your eye, which would not be good. So do not actuate this, as tempting as it might be. And what I'm going to do is going to take my thumb, I'm going to cover this area just so that spring and detent assembly can't go flying. And with the pick, I'm just going to reach in here and gently lift the detent out and let off the spring tension just like that. So there's no tension anymore. And now we can remove it. And with those parts removed, the stock latch should just lift right out of this receiver end cap. Just like that. Now, as you saw when I did that, the spring and detent fell off. That's no big deal. We'll put that back in place in a second. I'm just going to lay that down here for the moment. So one thing I wanted to mention before we install this is you're also going to want to apply just a little thin layer of grease to the inner diameter and the sliding surfaces of the stock latch. So we're just going to take a little bit of grease and we're going to want to spread it sort of on the back of the surface, getting it into the inside of the hole, and then a little bit on this back side. And that's just to provide a little bit of lubrication against some of the metal parts that this rubs against. So you don't have to go too crazy, just a nice thin layer of grease. And then we're ready to go ahead and assemble it back into the back plate. And now we're ready to go ahead and install our new DDC Industries stock latch lever here. So it's going to get installed the same way. We're going to go ahead and drop the lever into position, making sure that it's seated the correct orientation. There's a little notch here that you want to face towards the back of the receiver cap. Next, we're going to grab our spring and detent assembly, and we're going to load it into the pocket just like so. And once again, I'm going to cover over the top of the spring with my thumb. We're going to grab our pick, and I'm just going to use the back of the pick and gently compress the detent while pushing down with my finger. And you can see it's now seated. Now, again, it's really tempting right now to actuate this, but you do not want to do that, or this detent and spring can come flying out. So we're gonna have to wait. Okay, so now that we've got the detent and stock latch loaded in here, next we're going to go ahead and grab our backplate detent and spring assembly, and I'm just going to load that back onto this boss right here. It may want to fall off, so I'm just going to keep holding it like this. Now, we're ready to put our backplate on, but we want to be careful right now and make sure that we line up the detents on the top and bottom with this top counter bore and this bottom counter bore. You want to be careful and get those lined up before you go and squish this all the way down. Otherwise, you risk damaging the springs or bending them. So let's just be really careful and get those both started. And there you go. I did that pretty fast, but yeah, you can see our check is to look in the holes of the back plate, and you can see the detent protruding through on both sides. So it looks like we did it correctly. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and grab the upper screw, put that back into this pocket, all the while I'm squeezing this assembly, and then we're just going to tighten this back down. And again, I didn't go too crazy on the torque there. You just want to snug it down and just give it a tiny bit more. Don't want to strip anything out. With that loaded in, next I'm just going to go ahead and pick up our buffer spring. So if you notice, one end of it, the spring coil has a bit of a tail that points towards the center of the spring. That end we want to go down into our back plate. And if you notice, there's a little C-shaped pocket in here. So the opening of that pocket is where the end of the coil of the spring is going to go. So we're going to load it in just like that. So you can see it fits right in that little clip. Once that's installed, we can go ahead and take the bolt, drop it into position, and we'll tighten that down. Again, just giving it just a little bit extra torque there at the end. Now we're basically done. We just got to reinstall our stock. So we're just going to pick it up, line up the levers with these two slots on either side. And then we're going to lift up both latches at the same time, just like when we took it apart. And we can slide it back till it clicks in the first position. And now you've completed the installation of the stock lever. We can go ahead and give it a couple of actuations here. This is made from a very durable steel that should never break, unlike the OEM one. So if you're interested in purchasing one of these, please visit our website. Otherwise, I look forward to seeing you all in the next video. Thank you for watching.